Haiti. So they were both born and raised in Haiti, from different parts of Haiti, and then they both came to the U.S. So that being said, I grew up with a strong Caribbean influence, which I think is a beautiful thing. We just have such a great culture of music, food, and even just like growing up Haitian, especially, I think was just so powerful for me, especially because Haiti was one of the first nations to basically gain their independence, from slavery, and basically fought off the French and won their independence on January 1st. And so for me, that always gave me such a strong sense of pride. Just growing up in that environment and knowing that that's what, my people did. But I feel like when I just look at being a part of the Black community, and just everything that comes with it, it's such a beautiful thing just because that word right there, community. And I feel like that's one thing that I love so much about the Black community. We're people who look out for each other. Could be complete strangers, but we'll look out for each other no matter what. We'll try and help each other. Even just like walking through, my campus, I go to Hofstra University. Everyone I see that's Black, it's like, you know what I mean? It's just a head nod, a dap up, regardless of if you know them or not. And I think for me, that was just so powerful to see, because not only did it give me a sense of belonging, but it also showed me what God's kingdom is supposed to look like. Because for those of you who've been around and those who haven't, you'll see it's just a community. Even though we might be strangers from very different places, from very different backgrounds, we can get together and meet each other and look out for each other as if we had known each other our whole lives. Yeah. And that's such a beautiful thing. And so when I look at, when I started studying and started getting really into the Bible, when I looked at scriptures like Romans 12, starting in verse 9 to verse 18, and I'm not going to read it for time's sake, but it essentially just talks about love in action and what love really looks like practically. And things like, if we mourn, if one mourns, we all mourn. If one rejoices, we all rejoice. Looking out for each other, those kinds of things, that's all stuff that I saw growing up, It made sense to me. It wasn't a weird, like, oh, that's kind of, no, I was like, I get this. And that's because of the atmosphere that I grew up in, which is why I find it just such a beautiful thing to be a part of. And I think just a brief story that kind of encapsulates this is, for those of you who don't know, a couple months ago, I got into a car accident, right? It was on my birthday, which is lovely. But I was sitting at a red light, and I'm singing and dancing. It's my birthday, so I'm driving, yeah. Right? I get rear-ended from behind. And this was like my first accident as a driver that I've been in. So I was just very shook up. But despite being shook up, one thing that stood out to me, and the accident was it was on Flatbush Avenue in Brooklyn, which for those of you who don't know, it's a very Caribbean neighborhood, a lot of Black people. But one thing I know is, even though it was like midnight, right? And I'm there, and I'm trying to figure stuff out, people kept driving by and would stop at the, light or whatever, and be like, hey, is everything okay? Do you need anything? One person, even in a bus, a mini bus, pulled over, made a U-turn and pulled over and walked out his bus to make sure everything was going according to plan and everything was smooth. Even gave me some advice. I don't remember what any of it was because I was in shock. But it sounded good at the time. And, that sounds crazy to me, especially growing up in New York. New York is a very, don't ask, don't, look forward, keep it pushing, don't pay attention, mind your business kind of neighborhood. But the fact that they were able to kind of look past that New York mentality And so they might have not even like, if I said no, I'm not okay, they might have not did anything. But in the courtesy to ask in a place like New York, that's so you-focused and you-centric, that stuck out to me and just showed me how much, you know, that we can really look after each other. And that is something that'll stick with me for the rest of my life. Yeah. And now Kayley's gonna share.
Let me open up my phone if it recognizes my face. Sometimes it doesn't. Okay. Hi everyone. Again, my name is Kayley, and I'm going to share about what I love about the Black community. What I love about the Black community is how we're at the intersection of being radical and resilient, bold and beautiful, diverse and dignified, multicultural and multi-generational. The list can go on. I even recently wrote a short poem about loving my Blackness that I wanted to share with you all. Yeah. A love letter to my Blackness. You are loved. Each curl, each spot of hyperpigmentation, each shade you hold in between seasons, each bowl of consomme, each reggae album you listen to on repeat. Each book of Black literature from Jacqueline Woodson's poems to Ibram X. Kendi's anti-racist practices to Bettina Love's pedagogical theory that rests on my bookshelf. Although I didn't always believe it, you don't make me less incapable of being truly loved, cherished, valued, and respected. You are no less apparent because of how I act, talk, walk, look, or dress. You are a gift God has given me that I've learned to unapologetically take time to appreciate. It comes with its fair share of challenges, but those challenges will never prohibit me from achieving my dreams. Sincerely me, a brown girl dreaming. I love how Black culture is living proof of our collective radical imagination, despite historical and current people actively working to stifle those dreams. I'm living proof of my ancestors' wildest dreams, about what Black people could achieve and strive for. Black radical imaginators, as I like to call them, in my life are my own parents. Picture this. My mom is a teenager, the second oldest of four, an outspoken student living in Kingston, Jamaica, attending an all-girls school, dreaming about going to college in the US. The dream wasn't impossible at the time, but impractical. How would a teenager in Jamaica with no income at all find a way to go all the way to the US for college? And my dad, living in a single parent household, also the second oldest of four, in Hell's Kitchen, dreaming about going to college one day, but also dreaming about having a car like his favorite superhero, Batman. Definitely wanted to make Bruce Wayne moves without Bruce Wayne funds. Both dreams at the time were radical to different degrees, but like Matthew 19:26 says, with man this is impossible, but with God all things are possible. When my mom heard her family decided that they were moving to the US, she applied to the only college her cousin recommended she should apply to and got in, and ended up attending Baruch College. When it was time for my dad to apply to college, he took a chance, applied to Columbia, got in, eventually transferred to NYIT after changing his major, but ended up starting a Bible talk on campus there. And I know you're all wondering if he ended up getting the Batmobile too. And yes, after saving up for a couple years, was able to get a Nissan Rogue 2017, which he introduces to everyone as his Batmobile. Even loves showing his custom Batman-themed vanity plates. Growing up, they taught me to use my Black radical imagination to think about my own future and the importance of not just dreaming, but making God a part of those dreams. Or as I said to Brittany the other day, being able to write your dreams in a Google Doc and giving God permission to edit them. Not falling to one end, letting the impracticality of my dreams happening in the present prohibit me from striving towards them, but also not to fall to the other end of hyperfixating on my dreams, where I'm not content if the outcome is not exactly what I had in mind. Either way, when I think of Black radical imagination, I think of Proverbs 16:9 in the Amplified Version. A man's mind plans his way as he journeys through life, but the Lord directs his steps and establishes them. I love that the Black community never stops dreaming, and I'm excited to see the steps God plans to establish in my own life as I continue to dream. Thank you.